Hey, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Taylor. Now, before we rip into this episode with Casey Burgess, I just want to alert you to something just quickly. As COVID restrictions are easing a little and gigs are starting up again, I'm doing my bit to promote some of these gigs that feature the Gig Life Podcast guests. Head over to the Gig Life Podcast Instagram and start following. So it's at the Gig Life Podcast, or the link's down in the show notes here. You'll see me reposting on behalf of my guests. Check out their gigs, buy a ticket, head on out, and let's start rebuilding our music community. Okay, episode 102, Casey Burgess, here we go.
Trying something new. Oh, I'm not thinking about you, but when I do me talking loud.
My guest today is Casey Burgess. Casey is a singer-songwriter, dancer, actor and presenter from Sydney. She's easily recognisable as one of the previous members of internationally acclaimed children's show High Five, as well as co-presenter on Girl TV. Casey also starred in Annie the Musical alongside Anthony Warlow, as well as TV roles on Home and Away, White Collar Blue and Rake, as well as many others. You've more than likely seen Casey on a bunch of TV commercials or presenting Australia's largest school story dance festival, Wakakeri, fronting girl group The Diamonds, or hosting Carols in the Domain. But have you heard her music? Casey has recently released her debut album, Space to Breathe. In this chat, Casey and I talk about her career to date, the highs and lows, the trails, the tribulations. We talk about her new music, listen to some of her songs together, and she explains her process in making this remarkable album. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please give it up for the delightful Casey Burgess.
Unapologetically.
All right, I think we're rolling. Mm-hmm. Casey Burgess, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been
cool.
Been a time to start talking to people during this crazy year, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, what have you been up to the last 6 months since COVID sort of happened? I know you've released an album, and we will talk about that. What did you have sort of in the pipeline? Did you have some plans? And obviously, you know, COVID hit and then the world changed.
Look, it did. I didn't have anything other than the album really going forward in terms of big plans. And I suppose I also teach Pilates. So we had, during that, I think we were affected quite a bit at the studio, having to close the doors and just having sort of that time of, you know, what's around the corner, just lingering over our heads every day. And at the same time, I had the album brewing, and that kept getting pushed back. And I suppose I was also locked in Melbourne. We lost my grandfather at the very beginning of it. And so we were all, thank you. We were all in Melbourne together. So we sort of it was that thing where we sort of got stuck there. We weren't really sure what was going on. So, you know, it was a time for me to really reflect and connect with people that, you know, you sort of had to work out who were the people that made you feel uplifted and who were the people that made you feel good, and what were the things that kept your spirits high during that time, because it was just during a time of just uncertainty with work and uncertainty with the album. There was just this sudden loss in my life, and you know, and I could sort of relate to anyone else going through that as well, that had lost anyone during COVID. We couldn't have a funeral, so we were very much affected by COVID-19 as well. And then we came back to Sydney, and I think everything sort of just stopped, and I sort of thought, okay, what can I do for people that's going to lift their spirits up? And during that time, it was music for me. And while the studio was closed still, I just focused on getting the album out and released, and that's just what I did. We kept pushing it and pushing it, and I said, you know what? This is a time where everyone is sitting around not certain of what's happening. Let's bring some music to people's ears, and I'm really glad that I did that because it kept my spirits high, and hopefully some other people kept their spirits high around the world as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think you're very brave bringing the album out now. I know there's still a lot of people holding back on albums because they want to release and then they want to tour and they want to gig, and with gigs not sort of happening too much, you've done it anyway. So
yeah,
but that's also something you can do later. It's just like the whole. Everything's changed. Everything
has changed. And I did put together a media launch, which was a live gig. It just felt so strange to be sitting in a venue with musicians and singers and people in there, but it was also only 20 people allowed. And I think where I sat with that was my music is very, very much, a grab the heart, grab a box of tissues and cry and then feel uplifted throughout the stories. And I think that if people can sit with this album and really connect with the music and the words, the tour is actually going to mean so much more because it's something that I can sit there with people in a group and in a room full of people, no matter, hopefully more than, 50 now, and really talk about the songs and connect with them. And if they already know the songs, it's gonna have a whole new meaning rather than just coming out and trying to sell my album to people. It's actually going to have a bit of weight to it and some meaning because they've already heard it and been able to sit with it for some time.
You're selling the hard copy CDs, which is great too, because I think
absolutely.
Like I know myself, I like to buy CDs. There's nothing like having that tactile thing in your hand that you can put into a machine as opposed to, dialing it up and pushing a play and a stop,
Well, I've always been that person that likes to put a CD on and hear the songs in their form of how the artist has put them onto the album, which you can do that when you download, but having that tangible copy of something is really nice. You can take the pamphlet out, you can read their thank yous, you can just connect a lot more with an artist, I think, when you have that. I've had a lot of people get the album and the ones that have bought the hard copy have said, I don't even have a CD player, but I'll find one.
That's it, eh?
I love that. That's real support,
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of CDs that like I've already got the digital versions of. I just haven't taken it out of the wrapper.
Yeah,
and it'll stay that way. It's cool. Yeah,
it's just nice to have. It's like buying a Barbie doll when you're a kid and not being allowed to take it out and play with it. It just has to stay in the packaging.
Yeah. Worth a lot of money now, eh? Those old ones.
I know, right?
Yeah. All right, let's roll back to early days. Casey Burgess, how it all kicked off. Your mother was a dancer, and
Correct.
Your father was a pop star and show presenter. Am I right?
Yep.
TV show.
Yes.
Yep. So, to start off, where are you? Are you from Sydney originally?
Yep, I am. But Dad's side of the family is all Melbourne, so I've kind of gone between both for my whole life. So yeah, but I'm Sydney born and raised.
Yeah, cool. So going back, your father was a performer. Was he still performing around the time you were born, or that was sort of he was sort of 70s?
Yes. So I remember him doing gigs, and he was more in the time of my sister. So my sister grew up with him more being on TV and having his TV show Flashes and sort of appearing on Countdown and, having all of those appearances. But I do recall going to gigs and watching Dad, and I think that's part of when I grew up, seeing that and getting an understanding of that. But I do remember a lot more going to sort of my mum's dancing gigs and, sitting out the back, sitting amongst the feathers and the costumes and having been a part of that. So I sort of remember both. But I suppose I was very much supported by them. My sister worked in an acting agency, so that sort of led me down that path. And it was sort of, I guess, inevitable that I would be in this industry. I mean, I used to want to be a paramedic, but when I realized that blood made me pass out, I stuck on the path of performing. And I do.
That's probably a smart move, eh?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always time, right? There's always time.
Yeah. What, to get used to blood?
Still queasy.
Yeah, stuff that.
But yeah, it was. I do recall it, and I suppose it's in my blood. It's something that just comes naturally. Dad would film me singing, or I'd dance with Mum, and I love those memories because it sort of just is part of the journey of why I'm here now.
What kind of dancing was your mum doing?
So she would dance a lot on, like the Don Lane show and those kind of things where, we had my mum and dad met. He was a singer and she was one of the dancers. So back then there were so many more shows where they'd have couple dancing or, women dancing in the background as part of the performance. So she was originally ballet and then she toured with Disney for many, many years at a very young age. She left school to do that. And all of those shows back then had dancers on them, and it's kind of transformed now where we don't have so much of that. So seeing all that footage and seeing that time where, TV was alive with singers and dancers, and that was amazing. And I love looking back at that because it is coming full circle again. We do have shows with singing and dancing, and I suppose having those things put together to present an artist, we're seeing so much more now as well. So I love that that's coming back harder and faster. I love seeing it because it reminds me of their story.
Yeah, awesome. When did you first get the inkling that you wanted to be a performer?
Oh, very young. I think there's some footage on YouTube of me being like 2 or 3 singing and dancing, jumping on the trampoline, and I don't stop singing no matter what.
I think I saw that last night. It's from you. Your dad's posted it, eh?
Yeah, he loves it. It's so fun. Yeah. I love looking back at that stuff because no matter what I'm doing, I'm sitting on a chair and I'm singing. I fall flat on my face and I'm still singing. That's professionalism. That's where I learned it from a young age. Cameras on, keep going.
Good shit. How did you go about becoming that performer? Did you start singing early, or did you start dancing first, or?
Yeah, I grew up going to dancing on Saturdays, singing. So you'd be there from morning to night doing acting class, acrobatics, ballet, tap, jazz, all of it. And I think you transition into one or the other. I think I complained about ballet, so I got pulled out of ballet. I didn't like it. And then, you take up an instrument, and then sort of school became more exciting, and, things like hanging out with the girls and boys and stuff became way more exciting at that age, that teenage age. So you stop going to singing and dancing. And then my love for playing guitar and songwriting happened in high school. So I would spend sort of my time at lunchtime sitting up in the gym room with a guitar playing. And I think that kind of you just go through a transition period of what you like. I think I loved school, but I don't miss it. I just miss those times where you have these things handed to you that you can choose whether to continue or not. And I'm really glad I stuck it out with the music stuff because it's just where my passion lied, and Dad would sing with me and we'd play and write and do all that kind of stuff. So I guess it was just a slow transition, and I found my calling, I suppose.
Who were some of the artists you were listening to at that time?
Yeah, I had a big mix of artists I listened to. Like I sort of grew up listening to sort of Whitney Houston and ABBA and Michael Jackson, the Beatles. Then I started listening to much more singer-songwriter stuff. So Dad and I would do road trips down to Melbourne and listen to a lot of country music, sort of Casey Chambers and country artists like Phil Vassar, and just artists that I think that if I mention a lot of the names, people would say, who? Faith Hill, all these kind of artists.
Oh, man.
That I sit there.
You got me there. I, in my opinion, she's got the most amazing voice I've ever heard.
She does.
I've got a playlist on my phone of sort of go-to songs that put me through. Like if I'm in a bad mood, I put this playlist on, and it just puts me through all these emotions. There's about 4 of her songs on that.
And
on that playlist.
We were saying
phenomenal.
This the other week that just the voice of hers is just it's crystal clear. And I went through this time of listening to her over and over again, and I loved her. I love Martina McBride. I love Leanne Rimes. I love these women singers and songwriters that just touched my heartstrings. And then I started listening to a lot more of the men and Garth Brooks, and I just love the way that their music told stories. And I think that's sort of the path I wanted to go down, even though I listened to a whole range of artists. As I got older, I started listening to Pink, and she was someone that I think changed my life in the sense of, you're a girl, but you can be tough, you can stand your ground, you can sing songs. And some of her songs were my fight songs, just songs that I would go, this got me through a tough time or a bad day. And then I started finding songwriters that I could connect with, and a lot was in country music. So that's kind of where what I grew up listening to and where I sort of sat in my headphones. But then I'd listen to Eminem and I'd listen to Nelly and I'd listen to, all the fun stuff that my friends and I would listen to. But that's where I could, like you said, when you're having a day where you feel something, you can put it on. And that's exactly what I wanted to do when I started my album. When people are feeling something but they can't find the words, I'll help them with that,
Yeah, awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Were you doing school musicals and performances and stuff like that?
At school, not so much. I was doing drama, but I wasn't so interested in it at school because I got cast in year 6. I got cast in Annie the Musical with Anthony Warlow. And so I was in that. I didn't do year 6 at school because I was performing at the Lyric Theatre every night. That was a life-changing experience. That was really what threw me into the world of performing and what made me go, yep, this is what I want to do. So that was, I think musical theatre for me was the door, and I decided to be a part of it. And then I found that as I got older, I didn't enjoy it so much. I think I had a bit of struggles with my voice, and performing every single night for me, I realised wasn't going to be great for me, especially in a role that might not sit in my vocal range. So I just decided to figure out what was for me and what suited me. And it was much more going back and really working out what worked for me, and singing and songwriting and my own stuff was what I loved doing.
That's cool. Do you remember any of those feelings, like, and what you were thinking back in doing that Annie the Musical? Because I mean,
it's just
for a year 6 kid. That's the people, and Anthony Warlow's right there. Like, fuck.
I know, right? It's wild. And having a group of girls, so we would be homeschooled, or we would go to rehearsals, and then we'd rehearse, and then we'd be taken out to have lunch, which was 2-minute noodles every single day. That was my go-to. That was my fuel. And then we would go and homeschool out the back, and we'd all sit there in class, like just naughty kids, like little orphans as we were playing. We were causing a muck. But, we just loved every single second. And then, getting the costumes. I remember the day I went in and they put my hair back in a ponytail and snipped it off. And because I wanted someone with short hair. And I've still got a box of all the stuff. My ponytail's still in it. I've got all the paper clippings. I've got all of that. And I just remember the time of it being just butterflies 24/7. And that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life,
That's awesome. Did they tell you they were going to cut your hair?
I think halfway through, I even just put my hand up and went, I'll do it. I'll do it. Yeah, I didn't care.
You made that sound like someone just snuck up behind you, grabbed your ponytail and snipped it off.
No, they told me that. But they did just look at that because they're like, we need you to look a bit like an orphan. There you
go. Right. Now, you were co-presenter on Girl TV.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So tell us a little bit about how that came about, and for the people that don't know what that show's all about.
Yeah, so I was part of it after I was in Annie. That was year 6, and then I went back to school. I didn't get to go to my year 6 form or whatever that was. I think we had a performance that night, and then we started high school. So I did year 7, 8, 9, and during that time I also had an acting agent, and so I'd get sent for things like commercials, and I started booking TV commercials for St George Bank and noodles. I must be. Something about me is attracted to noodles. I don't know. And
if there's any noodle hang on, if there's any noodle companies listening.
Yeah. Hey, I'm ready.
You've got my number. I'll get up for Casey.
Hook me up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. And then another audition came around for the new show that they were, workshopping, called Girl TV. It was a magazine style show with 4 girls. and, you know, hosting and interviewing celebrities. And there also was a record deal with Sony. And we had Nick was a singer-songwriter, and he wrote a bunch of songs with us, or not with us, we learnt them. And it was just this whirlwind. I remember going for the auditions, there were thousands of girls, and we had to sing, we had to dance, they gave us stuff to learn, and then it got down to the four of us, and we did a pilot, and it got picked up by Channel 7. And so we filmed for half of the year or most of the year. So I didn't do year 10. I would go to year 10 classes on, I think, a Monday, which sort of kicked off the bullying at school, you know, being sort of a bit of an outcast at school because you haven't you're not doing what everyone else is doing. I went to an all-girls school, and you start to sort of notice that you're different. You're not going the same days as everyone else. You know, you have special leave. But we had such a good tight network, and I've always found that the show had such an impact on girls. I was out the other day, I was shopping at Westfield, and a girl stopped me. She was about my age, but younger. She said, "I know your face. Are you on Girl TV?" I said, "Wow, that is so wild." I get that all the time, even though I look, I probably don't look too different. My hair's blonder, right. But it really, they just said, wow, growing up, that we just would race home. We would get your album. We'd dance to the songs. You know, they'd pick which girl they wanted to be and make up little Girl TV things at home. And it was just a really, really wonderful time of my life, probably one of the best times of my life doing that. And I had to grow up pretty fast because, you know, you're working quick turnaround on set, interviewing celebrities. I interviewed Usher. We got to meet, you know, Guy Sebastian at the time when he first came off Idol. We got to interview and do some amazing things. And it was just sort of took us to a little bit of fame around Australia, and we got to go on tour and host things like Carols in the Domain. And for a 14-year-old, that was pretty amazing, to be honest. Yeah, I loved every second of it. It was so much fun. Photo shoots. It was just like, wow, is this real life? And I'm getting paid to do this? Yeah, it was great.
So how's that when that ends though? Like, because it's...
Yeah.
Do you have, is there people around that, I mean, like from the production team that are aware of, you know, people maybe when stuff like that ends, taking it really hard? Do they kind of prepare you for that?
Well, I was the youngest. A couple of the other girls were just finishing high school. And we'd also do schooling as well there. So I went back and did my year 10 certificate and passed. How did that happen? I'm not sure. But I guess I was always pretty studious. So when we were filming, I would make sure I didn't want to, you know, fall behind too much. And the production was really good. But it's just like anything, that's the industry, you know, what you sign up for, you know what's coming at the end of it. And I thought we might have another season going, but it didn't go ahead. And so it was just back to school for me, and I finished year 12. And I guess we just had to get on with it. So, but it's still just fantastic memories and such good life experience and building stuff that I realized very quickly I couldn't learn at school. You know,
for sure. Off and doing, you can't learn that shit anywhere, man.
No, and so I definitely grew up pretty quickly during that because, you know, all of the crew were, you know, in their 20s or 30s or 40s, and you know, I'm a 15-year-old girl and just loving every bit of it. And I sort of just couldn't wait to leave school to get back to doing more, you know. So I just sort of knuckled down, did what I had to do at school, and went on the venture of, you know, trying to find more work.
Yeah. You said then that, you know, that's the industry and you know it's coming. At the other girls that were in the group there, had they done, I mean, because you'd done Annie and you'd also been around, you know, your mother and father would have brought you up knowing about the industry and stuff. Were the other girls aware of that?
I think a couple were. A couple of them were dancers, and another one of the girls was she was kind of a surfer chick and we got really close during that. And I think that was one of her first experiences with it. She's gone off to do wonderful things now, start a family and start her own fashion label. So I think we all had it in us. That's, you know, for some reason it was in our blood to just perform. And, you know, we got the job because we were the best ones for the job at the time. And I guess then you pick up where you left off and decide if you want to do that or if you want to go and do something else, because it's a tough industry. You know, you go from a peak to a low pretty quickly, and you do have to build up that tough skin. I'm not sure how easy that is to do for everyone. I've found it quite hard over the years that when you hit that high, the lows come pretty low as well. And I'm pretty honest with that because I think people can, I think people can know that, oh, you're just doing well all the time. It's like, no. I'm grateful for all those experiences, but the time where you aren't doing what you love is really tricky too, you know? So I appreciate everyone that just keeps giving it a shot and keeps getting knocked back, and it's the way it is, and you have to accept it if you can keep doing that, or if you want to go like I did and get a normal job for a while. If what I call a normal job is, you know, what you have Monday to Friday, you know, you've got some income coming in, and I've definitely done that just to reset and go, okay, now what? Get your head good, get your head red, Casey, and push forward just to get a bit of normality in your life, because it's a very up and down roller coaster in this industry.
So Girl TV ends. You're back to school, like you said, getting ready for that next thing. What was that next thing? What did?
I did a few jobs after that. Some voiceover work and some working in a cafe, working in retail, and then booked a job on High Five, kids show High Five. So
yep. So I can ask about that. So how did that audition come about? And then my next question after that would be, what is a High Five audition?
So I had a new manager at the time, and they had put me up for 4 or something castings for TV commercials, and I booked all of them. So it was sort of like their little test going, okay, you can do this. And then they had a High Five audition come up, and they said, look, we've got this. Would that be something you're interested in? At first I was like, no, I don't think so. Because I knew the stigma that had been attached to something like High Five, that once you sort of do a children's show, you're kind of locked into that, you know? And I sort of thought, well, what do I want to do in the future? And the audition came up, and I fought with it for a bit. And then I went to the audition day one, and there was thousands of people. And Charlie was there because that's who we were replacing. And as soon as I got in those doors, something in me fired up, and I said, this is my gig. This is my gig. I'm going to get this no matter what it takes. So I really sacrificed a lot during that time. Stayed home. I learnt all the current DVDs. I just in case they said, you need to go on tour tomorrow, just made sure you know what it was? It was just for myself, the first time ever that I put the work in. You know, I wasn't a young, cute kid that could just get by on being able to smile and dance around. I really had to put the work in and show that I could do what they wanted. And it was quite a vigorous few weeks. My mum always reminds me, she's like, you didn't sleep, you looked like a nervous wreck. But it was that thing that even if I didn't get it at the very end of the day, I knew that I'd done everything I possibly could to get that role. Right. Sometimes I wish I could get back that fire in my belly that I had then.
I'm sure it's there. And then maybe when it comes, you're like,
throw everything into it.
Yeah, well, fuck, that's too hard.
Young and naive, throw everything to the side and, head for the cliff. But I'm really glad I did, because it has, that's changed my life so very much. And I'm so grateful for that experience. I was straight on tour. I was working with, the originals, Nathan and Kelly and Stevie and Son. We just had the best time traveling around the world, doing stuff with World Vision. It was just, I have no words. It was a remarkable experience.
My oldest daughter, she's just about 11. So we got introduced to High Five. Yeah. And it was the time, it was yourself, it was Fally, Stevie, Lauren and Tim. So you guys were the group for my daughter, and of course me and my wife, because we get to sit and watch High Five. Yeah,
you're welcome.
All the songs. So I'm
sorry.
No, please, it's all good. What I found remarkable was just your guys' fitness and the moves you're doing and the singing and the
it's a lot.
A lot.
I know people always say, how do you stay so happy? I'm like, luckily I am like that. I've got a big energy, and you sort of have to do that show, or I think you'd crash and burn. But it's one of those things that the job keeps you up on that level, but you do crash and burn. You very much do, because of and it's one of those things that I have never ever in my life learnt something like work ethic that I did in that job. I don't think in the 5 years I had a sick day. And if I was sick, it was dose yourself up, vomit in a bucket off stage, get back on there and do the gig. But that really shows you what you're capable of as a human to push through and to do. And it's all about those kids. It's all about keeping those kids happy. Yeah. And until you don't have the stamina to do that anymore, I started losing my voice and getting vocal problems, nodules, not so much from the singing, but a lot of the traveling and the talking in between shows. I lost my voice and it just started really getting to me mentally, because I was like, if this happens to me, I'll never sing again. You know, I had going to ear, nose and throat specialist, doing vocal exercise, seeing a speech pathologist. All this stuff started catching up with me after 5 years. And
this was after. This was not while you were working.
It was during.
It was during, right?
But I was there for 5 years, so it was in the last year that started happening, and I just had to make that call, sign on for another 3 years, and really struggle with certain things, or take a step back. And I had, you know, other dreams and aspirations. I wanted to, you know, just what else is out there once you start getting really comfortable in something.
Yep.
You know, and I always talked, like, at the moment I'm living with Stevie and Tanika, actually. Awesome. Yeah, just a little, little crossover. But it's been really nice to sit back and reflect and sort of talk about those times. And because it's something that unless you're in it with those 4 other people, no one else understands. Yeah. You know, it's hard to explain an experience. Like, it's like those people that go away, you know, on long haul jobs or army or, you know, pilots or something. They go away, and when you come home to your family, it's very hard to explain the good, the bad and the ugly that you've experienced. And we only have that with each other. So it's a special bond we have. And with those kids in particular, kids that we've lost, kids that we've held hands of that we've lost, or kids that have grown up with us, it just holds a very, very special place in your heart. And I'll always be thankful for that job.
Yeah. One of my daughter said today, because I told her that I was talking to Casey, and they would take Casey, take Casey from High Five, and she said, "Oh, ask her how Chats is. How's Chats going?"
Do you know how many kids ask me that? How's Chats?
Yeah.
It was so funny. Last night I was with my niece, now 17, and my nephew loved the show. Cassidy came and watched all the shows as well, and Eden was a big fan. And at the table, I just started making the jump noise. You know, that I just play the noise, and they thought it was a noise from some other show, and I was like, no, it's jump, and everyone's like, who's that? And I was like, oh, we've moved on. Okay, I'm not cool anymore.
That's right, eh? Push the hand away. Good stuff.
Yeah, move on, Casey. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, grow up, mate. Grow up.
Still trying to use it, you know.
Yeah. Did you guys get any creative input into your performances and stuff like that? I mean, I understand that it was, you know, choreographed and that kind of thing, but did you guys get any sort of creative input?
Yeah, look, when we were doing the live stage shows, it was very much a collaborative effort. We had a director, we had script and all of that, but we definitely got to throw in some stuff that would make it, they wanted to make it, you are you, you're your character.
Oh, cool.
You know, I played Casey, he played Stevie. What would you say in this moment? We could just change it up. Definitely on set, if I always wanted to wear a moustache. Don't ask why. I just thought it was the funniest thing in the world. So any opportunity I had on set to wear a moustache, that was my creative input.
Awesome.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Well, it's just funny seeing a girl in pigtails wearing a moustache. I thought it was the funniest. It was the best.
Right.
But yeah, we it was such a quick turnover with script and with filming that you had a bit of input in, you know, I would say this or not say that, but it's like bang, bang, let's bang it out. Bang, bang, bang.
Right.
Let's get it done, on to the next scene. But definitely with live stage shows, we'd keep it as it was, but change it up. And we had this one part on tour in our last tour that we'd have this space of 30 seconds where everyone would beatbox and I'd do a rap on the spot and make it up every show. And Stevie said it used to be the scariest 30 seconds of his life because he just was like, please don't say anything bad.
Good job.
Yeah. But we got to have fun like that. So it was always fun for the audience if, you know, you had a bit of a stuff up or you forgot a line or someone fell over, or that's the fun of it. And it's kids, you know, they're there to have a good time. So we had a bit of creative input, and Stevie actually did a bit of writing for the series too.
Oh, great.
Which was cool. We got to write some songs and write some scenes. So,
awesome.
You know, if you wanted to, you could step up and sort of request to be part of it. So, yeah.
Excellent. So what was a normal day in the life of High Five? Say,
well, during filming it would be 5 days a week or 6 days a week, going 2 days of learning it all and going in and rehearsing probably like 40-something songs. You'd have to learn overnight or over 2 days, go in, film for 4 days, and then you go out doing, voiceover work, going and recording the album. Then you'd set up and rehearse for tour, and then you'd spend a few months rehearsing for tour, and then you'd be out on the road touring. Then we'd fly overseas. We'd do some stuff with World Vision. Then we'd fly to the Philippines, and we'd do 3 live shows a day. In between every show, we'd have our meet and greets, photos with the audience, signing things. Makes me feel like my life right now is super lazy. I'm like, what do I do with my day?
Making me enjoy my drink.
Yeah, have a drink. I clearly need to grab one. So there was schedule but it would change very much. So whether you were touring or whether you were filming or whether you were on a press tour or something like that, it would be very different, but pretty regimented during that. And we do a lot of in-store appearances. If you had, people sponsoring us, we'd have to go meet the sponsors, do photos with them. So it was not a lot of rest for the wicked.
Yeah, man, you'd have to be up all the time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would, and then you'd come back to your hotel and you'd either just all go, we crash, or somehow we push through.
Yeah.
We'd be in Singapore, all go out for dinner, go out with the owners. Like it was, but you know what? I'm glad we did all of that. I'm glad I wasn't a hermit after shows because they're the experiences I remember as well, going out in Clark Quay in Singapore, going out, maybe finding a club to go to, going and dancing, just all of that kind of fun stuff. Experiencing the food all around the world was amazing. Just going out and experiencing different music all around the world and just having good connections with people in other countries was just amazing. And I really miss that. And I feel for the countries everywhere right now that can't have people visit or, that can't visit their families. I can totally feel for them because travel just, for a lot of people, fills the soul, And when we were traveling and we got to do it for work, it was amazing.
That's really cool. Okay, so you started to have the problems with your voice and nodules and that kind of stuff. The time comes, they say, do you want to sign on for another 3 years or no?
Yeah.
You've decided not to do that. Now, how long was how much notice did you kind of have to give? And what did you start lining up for yourself once that finished, or was it break time?
I already started feeling. I started getting that feelings of anxiety and sort of like a light depression feeling. Like I don't know if I'd call it that, but we're just going to work. I had anxiety and I was feeling very down and flat. Yep. And I think it was the voice. The voice was really, like if something gets taken away from you, I can understand if sports players break their leg and they can't play again. Or I really empathize with football players that injure themselves and that's it, their career's done. That's how I sort of felt. So I started to feel quite down and not like I was able to give 100% at work. And that for me was someone that had that work ethic built into me that's like, give this 100 all the time, very hard. So I just thought, look, there are other things I want to do. I think I remember this one time we were at a gig somewhere out west in Sydney. I was putting pigtails in and I just looked in the mirror and I was like, I need something else. I need to experience something else now. I want someone else to be in here as excited as I was when I started. And I think I'm ready to hand the reins over. And I thought 5 years with high five, I can high five myself on the other hand and, shake my own hand and go, you've done well, Case. And Tim and I had a discussion and we decided to leave together. Yep. So it didn't feel like I was too alone in it.
Okay.
And I just left and just reacquainted myself with my family. I had got myself an apartment, so I wanted to just go rest in that for a bit and chill out and cook myself some homemade dinners. And that was a real transition period for me. Very up, very down, very hard, but pretty life-changing because I, worked out the next path for me. It took some time. I found it very hard to maintain relationships during high five too, friends or boyfriends or anything like that because you're just away so much. So I got to sort of reacquaint with friends and just live a bit of a normal life that I feel like I somewhat missed out on, just the stupid regular day-to-day going to the shops with your girlfriends kind of thing.
Right.
I wouldn't give up what I did for the world, but just those little things. Do you want to come for coffee? Yes, I can. Or you're invited to a wedding. I can make it. Yeah. Just little things like that I felt like I was making up to my family and friends what I hadn't been able to be there for, but they totally understood. But it was just me wanting to get back into a sense of normal, you know?
Yeah. So when did you start getting itchy feet then? Time to start doing something else?
Oh, it actually came when I started doing some other, you know, bits and pieces of work, little hosting stuff. And then I went and managed some fashion retail stores. I just wanted to, you know, get some money coming in. I did my Pilates course, started teaching Pilates, and then I hurt my back really badly and needed some time out and kept working retail. It was funny. You'd have people come in and go, "What are you doing here?" Like, do you want to pay my rent? But just needed a sense of normal. And then I started getting itchy feet really badly. I started doing some live gigs and performing and singing with a girl group, the Diamonds.
Yep.
So we'd travel around and, you know, be gigging and get dressed up. And, you know, that's when it started happening. And I started then again losing my voice again because I was singing stuff that wasn't in my key. You know, I was singing a lot of, you know, songs that are, you know, women from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s till now. There's a lot of big belter tunes in there. And it was such a good experience. I've made some incredible friends, some of the best friends will ever have. But I realized I started picking up the guitar again and started feeling that was my meditation through the guitar. And that's when the itchy feet began. It's like, I need to do an album. And I just had this breakup that happened that I took myself to Blues Fest, and something in me was like, I need to get my butt to Nashville. Just something in me, I'm very much on like energies. Something over there happened. I was like,
was there a performer at Blues Fest that made you think, oh man?
Sheryl Crow.
Oh really? Wow. Awesome.
I flew up to Blues Fest to see the Teskey Brothers. They're one of my favourite bands.
Yep.
And followed them around like a little stalker and went up there, went and watched them and just, oh gosh, wow. And then I was heading back to the accommodation and it was like one of the very last things of the night, stumbled through and I'm like, let's go see what that is. Walked in, stumbled across Sheryl Crow performing, and I just stood there just, you know, and I went, I can do that and I'm going to do that. I want to do that. And contacted my friend Sam Hawksley over in Nashville, and we'd been talking on and off, just sending him songs, and I met him during Girl TV.
Okay.
And he moved over there and he's like, get on a plane. That week I booked a ticket and off I went to Nashville and just did a writing trip, just threw myself in the deep end. And so the itchy feet got itched and I realized there was no turning back. So that was that moment where I just saw Sheryl Crow performing and went, yep, I'm going, I'm doing it, and nothing's going to stop me.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this episode of the podcast. As you know, the Gig Life podcast is free. You don't have to pay anything ever. But if you find the value in the Gig Life podcast, you can donate or leave a tip. Go to thegiglifepodcast.com, click on that donate button and give as little or as much as you like, and just know that anything you give will go back into creating great content for this podcast. All right, back to the episode. Did you already have a bunch of songs written already?
Yeah, ish.
Ideas type.
Yeah, I've got them back in my phone from, you know, and I've been writing songs since high school, and I'd done a song with Natalie Bassingthwaite and her husband down in Melbourne. I'd just done a bit of writing, you know, it wasn't like the first time, but it was definitely the first solid look at how this is done in the real world. Like it is a business over there.
Oh yeah,
you know, that's
especially Nashville. Yeah,
you enter a room and bang, you knock out a song, and I literally just faked it till I made it and just went in pretending like I knew what everyone was talking about. Picked up on the lingo. I was yeah. I just threw in some of the lingo like I knew. But that's the funniest part of it, that it's all, and you know, you bring all your ideas to the table, and I was a sponge. That's what I was on that first trip. I was just soaking it up, and Sam was just unbelievable. So at the end of it, we got all these songs, and he just said, come back and let's do an album. Cool. So, you know, sat on that for a little bit, and last year got our ducks in a row, got some money together and decided to self-fund the album, and got on a plane and landed, and I just started crying as soon as I landed. I just went, I feel like I'm home. This is where I need to be. And I just put everything into it. We just worked and worked and worked, and it was just one of those experiences that I just can't believe has finally happened, you know? So I'm very proud of getting something done that I said I was going to do, because I'm a little bit of a procrastinator. And I guess that comes from just having had such an intense lifestyle for so long that I'm like, I can chill, but there's no time to chill anymore. It's time to get this music going.
Oh, chill. Someone will come. Someone will come.
Someone will knock.
Someone will knock on the door,
right?
Someone will call.
Oh, wait. No one's knocking.
So during that, so you had your first writing trip and you came back. What did you do during that time that you're back? Were you back into retail or were you performing or?
Yes, I do. Both. Yeah. So it was gigs on the weekend, retail, teaching Pilates. I just had a whole bunch of stuff going on. And going through a little bit of a tumultuous relationship. Life was all just a bit chaotic and a little bit too much all over the place.
Right.
So I just had to sort of bring it back and go, where do I feel good and who do I feel good around? And now I need to focus on that. And that was, I just found with the music and with anybody surrounded with music, that's sort of where I just felt like I needed to be. So that's when we went and decided to go 3 weeks of full recording album. And I just wish I was there right now.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about specifics now, about the album. So where did you record it?
In Nashville.
Yeah, in Nashville.
In Nashville, in a place called Madison. So I stayed with Sam Hawksley and his wife and their little kid. She's so beautiful. So they just had a baby the first time I went around to Nashville, and then she was not so much a baby that next time I went. So that was really nice. I feel like you're part of the family there. And we had some of the songs we had before, so we sort of just got together and went, okay, what are we going to do with these songs? But let's get together and write some more. So Sam teed up sort of a songwriting list every day. We'd go and write with certain people every day. So we linked up with like Rick Price, Lee Nash. We just had these incredible list of people to write with. And every day we'd write, we'd come back and we'd set up, he's got a studio upstairs and he's an incredible songwriter and guitarist.
Yep.
And he'd play and then we'd lay down a demo. And then we actually just went, let's go for it. So we started recording properly. He'd play. And then by the end of it, when we had all of our songs and chosen what we wanted to do for the album, we had all the musicians play. So we took it to Nash Chambers studio and crazy to see all of Casey's records up on the wall and just be part of that because that's who I grew up learning from.
Yeah.
It's that full circle. So we put the drums on and then we just was like a cake. We just laid it up and came back with this record and just went, okay, what do we do now? So we did a lot of the stuff from me being back home.
Okay.
And that's the magic of technology, I suppose.
That's right.
Yeah, so we just sort of worked out, then we really knuckled down on all the songs that we wanted to do because we had a few extras. And I had to re-record a couple of the songs here and we just packaged the album together and went, okay, this is what we're doing. And I suppose it's just, for me, it wasn't at all chasing that dream of I want to be a big famous singer and I want to, sell 1 million copies overnight. Let's get out there. It's like this was a passion project for me and I did it for me, but I know that it can relate to so many other people around the world. And I think if I did this 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to sit in that space and fully agree with what I just said because I would have been doing it for other reasons. And I think it took a lot of guts for me personally to do that trip just due to personal things I was going through. That was the universe calling me and I knew I had to do it, and that's why there's so much passion and love in this project that I feel like I can connect with anybody that sort of has gone through the highs and the lows that I know I have.
It's just really well done. Like it's a really brilliant album. And I'm not just saying that because you're here and I'm, trying to blow smoke, but it really is really, really good. Like sonically it's brilliant. It really has that Nashville sound to me. Being a drummer myself, the drum sound is just magic. It's fantastic.
Watching that come together was unbelievable. Just seeing them in the room and I'm like, this is my song and that drummer is just going to town.
Yeah.
Unreal. It's Tim McGraw's drummer actually.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
There's the little link back to faith. Hey?
That's it.
Hey, sweet.
I know, right? How good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because it's a body of work that it's always very terrifying and scary to let, your diary out there. But I've sort of hit this place in my life that I'm like, if I can't share what I know and help somebody out there or multiple people out there, then I'm not doing my job. I got told by this woman once that I was put on this earth. She was this woman that came up to me, kind of like a medium. She had been put on this earth, but you're not fully completing your job here. I didn't really know what she meant. But now I feel like I've kind of worked it out. I'm here to sort of empathize, sympathize, and connect with other people. Yeah. And, not throw anything down their throat to help but it's helping through my experience. So I sort of feel like I hope that this is now what I've been put on the earth to do, and I'm sitting in that space.
Right. Was there any times during the process where you and the producers or the other songwriters butted heads?
No butting of heads. There are kind of some moments where you're like, that's a bit of a shit idea. You have a laugh.
As long as you can laugh it off and move on. Yeah, none of that sort of, it's my idea.
No way.
No,
I've heard some horror stories. Do you know what it is? There's no butting heads. It's just like silent moments that you go, come on, someone, please get the hook. Please. Let's go eat. Let's go eat some tacos. Then we'll get the idea. Right. And you come back, you've got a full belly of tacos. You still can't get the idea. Then you sit on it, and even things that we that's a Sam and I work really well together like that. Like he very much lets me go on my way. I let him go on his. We have ideas. We both, you know what it is? You've got to work with someone and Sam Hawksley has this thing that before I even went, we were on the same page. Right, so when you get there, you have to work with someone you're on the same page with.
Well, you wouldn't have gone otherwise, eh?
Yeah. And like I've got this thing that I'm like, I want it to sort of do this and sound like this. I don't have the words, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And he's like, I got you guys. I got you.
Awesome.
That's
great.
So I know what I'm saying with my language that makes no sense, but he gets it.
Yeah. Well, next time round, you have all that lingo, the new lingo you work.
Learned. I've got the lingo.
Yeah, write all that shit down, eh? Don't forget.
I should have written it down.
What's your favourite song on the album?
It changes.
Okay.
I think at the moment, my favourite song, probably Lemon Tree.
Okay.
I wrote that for my grandparents, my love of my pop for my Nana, and then obviously he got to hear it and she got to hear it, and then we lost him. So there's just like holds a special place in my heart, that song.
Okay.
So
can I
one of those.
Can I play a little bit of it?
Absolutely.
Cool. Can you hear that?
I can.
Awesome.
Hello.
4 walls and an old lemon tree. It'll all still be here one day after me. We kept it simple, didn't ask for much. All we needed was the two of us. We count every memory. I might be losing track of time if I start to lose my mind. I choose you in every life. And if the walls begin to fall, I build them up just like before. Until the day I die, I'm by your side.
Yep, very good. My favourite, and like you said, my favourite now, because I had another favourite the other day. I like the title track. I think "Space to Breathe" is
Space
just
to Breathe.
awesome.
Yeah,
like the harmony and the hang on. Oh. Yeah, here we go. Oh, what happened there?
we're back.
Yeah, we're back. And I like later in the song how that harmony doubles up. Layer that harmony, it's beautiful. Really good.
I'm not running away. It's not my birthday or a holiday. No big reason, nothing
In come the drums.
Yeah, love it.
Not on a mission, there's nothing missing. I'm just leaving, that's all I know. Don't need permission, bought my own ticket. You were smart enough to let me go.
Yeah, there.
The double.
Yeah.
I got space now. I got space now to breathe.
Yep, very good. So that's my favourite today.
Beautiful. I think my favorite tomorrow will be Moving On. I love that. I wrote that with Sam and Rick Price, and we just had so much fun writing it. And I just love, like, I can just see the car driving down the road and the hair blowing in the wind. It just makes me very happy to say, yep, I'm moving on.
Okay, let's have a little bit of a listen to this.
It's very Nashville.
Those drums are swampy, man.
I love a swampy drum.
Yeah.
For such a long time, I ignored my intuition. Wouldn't take the time to take my own advice. I tuned it out, I wouldn't listen to that voice of wisdom. Bumping into brick walls, yeah, you bet I paid the price. Living in my own illusion, drowning in a sea of my confusion. I ran out of tears to cry. Roll the windows down, let that breeze come rushing. Turn it up, I wanna hear that happy song. I am homeward bound, yeah, the world is turning. The sun is setting over Avalon. Bye-bye, baby, I am moving on.
Yeah, I like the way that just sort of tracks along, you know?
Very Nashville, like you said.
Yeah, and you can hear Rick singing in the background.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
My favourite line, and I was telling you this the other day when I was messaging.
Yes.
My eyes are tired from rolling. I think that's brilliant, eh? Because you can just see it, eh? You can picture it. Yeah, because
Seriously, that's just my
listen
face.
to the stories
24/7.
talking about all the fucking flat earthers and all that shit. Yeah,
Idiots everywhere.
Yeah, no, good job.
Yeah, it's just so nice to hear people being able to hear it finally. It's just one of those things that it's like, for you to sit there and look at me through the thing and tell me that you know the names of my songs is like, what?
Oh, good.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, no, you've done really well. Yeah, I wouldn't say it otherwise.
Thank you.
Now the other thing, pardon me, I was going to mention, my daughter was in Wakakeri a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And you were the presenter of that.
I was the host and presenter of Wakakeri for many years. It's been
right?
I was in Wakakeri when I was in year 1.
Oh wow!
And
it's kind of full circle.
Come back full circle. I have. I need to find the footage of that. That would be absolutely a cack. But I've been hosting it for like the last 7 years or something, and unfortunately this year we've had to, obviously COVID restrictions. There's been no live shows, but I love hosting Wakakeri. I still stand off the side of stage and bawl my eyes out watching the kids dance. It's just magic, isn't it? I mean, I feel sorry for the parents that their kids in Act 12. I
think that was us in the regional final. I think it was. Yeah. And
it's a long night. It's a long night, but it's still cute. I know. I think that, and I still think people are still just having the best time out there. But you got those kids sitting out the back. I remember my Wakakeri, the same thing. We were very, very last, and I was asleep out the back with hairspray all stuck to my face. And it's just, I just know what it feels like to be those kids, and be that excited to be on a stage for the first time in their life. It's just, some of them are going to end up doing what I'm doing. They're going to end up doing what you're doing. They're going to be musos. They're going to. This is our future generation of kids that are just living in their costumes. It's the best. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my
how did your daughter do?
Oh, they didn't make it through to the. Oh no, but I think they got an award for something.
Right, beautiful. Yay.
Best use of a particular prop or whatever it was. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
but
signature item.
Yeah, but I for them it wasn't about winning. It was just that whole experience. Yeah, because I think the first night was down at the Riverside Theatre in Parramatta.
Yep.
And they got through that and they made it to the finals at Homebush, and it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was
so
cool for us. It was just great.
Hopefully.
It was great for us too, to sit and watch her, and yeah, it was really good.
Oh, the kids get so excited. I always laugh. I always make jokes when I come back out. They're like, I feel sorry for the parents where the kids are wearing a mask the whole time.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't know where your kid is, but just clap anyway, please.
Yeah, that's it. Have there been any opportunities, gigs offered to you, shows or anything that you've turned down or haven't been able to do that you've really regretted that you haven't been in that place to be able to do that?
The only one that comes to mind is I booked a job on an acting show, an online series where I booked the lead acting role, and then it was a role in the television series or a telemovie called Scorched with Vince Colosimo as the lead. So I filmed day one, and then on that afternoon I got told that I got high five. So I had to pick between the two. I'm very glad I made my decision.
Yeah,
but
for
it was
sure.
Like one of those things that I've never really been able to go in and super crack the acting world because, you had to make the call one way or the other. And, I booked a job for 5 years of my life opposed to one series. But it's always in the back of your mind, that sliding doors moment. You're like, what would have happened if I went down that way? So it's not that's the only one I can remember that I had to make a big decision about,
But you've done other TV stuff as well, though, haven't you? So, I mean.
Yeah.
So is that something you still want to pursue?
I suppose, yeah. I mean, I'm just one of those people. I like to try and do everything, and I'm, been doing acting my whole life, and but the music stuff's very much where it's at right now. And once the albums come out and you see your name up on an ARIA chart, you're like, okay, let's keep going. Let's do another album. Let's keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not the accolades that drive me, but it's so nice to know people are enjoying my heartbreak.
Yeah, right.
It's like, yeah, perfect, good, all right, cool. So if someone wants to come along and break my heart again, we can get another album underway.
It doesn't have to be all about heartbreak.
No, it doesn't. I'm excited to see what comes next, but it's kind of one of those things. I'm very. I found my space. Found my space to breathe.
Yeah, nice. Well done.
Yeah, nice segue.
Have you ever auditioned or thought about auditioning for shows like The Voice or Australian Idol at the time, or because Idol's coming back? I believe I've read somewhere.
I think I've just put enough into this album and enough into my stuff at this time. I mean, never say never, but it's just never really been something I want to do.
Cool.
I don't know, I love watching them, but I just don't think I'd like to be on them. I think I admire anybody that can get up there and give that a go. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it is for me, but I'd love to possibly give them one of my songs to use and sing.
Yeah, very good.
That's kind of the other side, or judge or that kind of thing. But I think being on it, I don't think I've got it in me, to be honest. I'm quite a sensitive soul. I think I'd find it really difficult. And I just admire anyone that can do it. Any of my friends that have done it, I'm just 10 points to you for getting up there and giving that a go, because that is hard, very hard. But it looks like so much fun. Part of me wants to be on that SAS show that's on at the moment.
Oh, fuck, I'm loving that. That whole the scene where they're standing in the water and they're all cold. Nah, that's me. I'm out.
I think I'd like to give it a go. My dad said, you don't like people screaming at you, you'd probably cry the whole time. I was like, I probably would.
That's it.
Oh, gosh.
Earlier today yesterday I asked you to choose one song and only one song that's had the biggest impact on you. Mm-hmm. Now, in a second, I'll get you to introduce that song, and then we'll start listening to it. Or before I start playing it, explain to us why you've chosen that song and why it's had that impact, and does it still have that kind of impact today?
I suppose this is a song by Patty Griffin, and I got introduced to Patty Griffin, and just my ears could not turn away. And the way that she plays, and she plays live, and she just sings from her heart. And I think, I'm not religious in any way. It's not about it being heavenly day. It's what I what changed it for me was the emotion and the feeling. I felt like I was in the song with my eyes closed. I felt like I was taken to where she was. And when I saw her on stage live, she told me that the story was about what I like is the simplicity of a song this great and grand. And all she wrote it about was sitting there with her dog on her lap.
Oh,
and
wow.
she wrote it about that feeling. And I thought someone can put this tiny moment that she was living in into a song that makes me feel this much emotion. I want to do that. And it sits with me every single day as be present in where you are and enjoy the smell of the gardenias, enjoy the sip of coffee you're having, and make that for yourself a moment in time of having a heavenly day.
Very cool. Okay, let's have a listen. So she plays guitar as well? She's playing and singing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, heavenly day, all the clouds blew away. Got no trouble today. With anyone. Smile on your face. I live on in the sea. It's enough for me, baby. It's enough for me. Oh, heavenly day, heavenly day, heavenly day. Tomorrow may rain with sorrow. Here's a little time we can borrow. Forget all our troubles and these moments so few. Oh, we could right now the only thing that all that we really have to do is have ourselves a heavenly day. Lay here and watch the trees sway. Oh, can't see no other way. No way, no way. Heavenly day, heavenly day, heavenly day.
Yeah, it's got the feels, eh? It's got the feels.
Doesn't it? And when she just says the smile on your face, I live only to see, and she's talking about her dog.
Yeah,
I mean, you would have no idea.
Yeah, I was trying to picture where the dog was sitting when she was playing the guitar. So
Correct, right?
yeah.
Probably just
Yeah.
head looking back at her. But yeah, that's just one of those things that just every time I think about a song and just living in the moment and being, you know, in those precious times with life sometimes when things get a little bit tough, you can just close your eyes and listen to that and it takes you somewhere breezy and sunny and, you know, full of love. I just love it. I love it.
Very cool. Now, before we talk about where people can get your album, is there anything we've forgotten? Anything that you wanted to talk about, or I've missed, or?
I don't think so. I think you've done an amazing job. You've done your research. You've done this podcast thing before, haven't you?
I've done it once or twice now.
Yeah. No, I think it's just one of those things. I suppose, like, not that you didn't touch on it, but just sort of if anyone's listening that sort of wants to do this. You know, it is just really about knuckling down and doing the work and finding that passion, because if you don't do it for you, this is what I've learned. If you don't do it for you, it's so much harder, because if you're trying to impress anybody else or produce music or do something just to please other people, you're never going to be able to get, you know, that heart into it.
Exactly.
And that's what I was going to say, that if I did it any earlier, I don't think I would have been able to do that. So you need to sort of, you know, go into that with you and your intentions being based on why you're doing it, and it's got to do it for you. So that's just any advice I could give. And then the rest follows, you know.
Yeah, awesome. Are you already thinking about a second album? Because you said you had some leftover songs.
Always.
Good,
I got some songs. Yeah, always. And I even just listening to stuff that I'm hearing that I'm going, okay, how could I change the sound up? How could I do this? And, just getting those little ideas, they're always there. They're always there. I could be sitting there with someone and then I'm rudely writing on my phone, but I'm writing down song ideas. So, yeah. It's always rolling here. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, your obviously your album Space to Breathe is available at the streaming sites and stuff, but ideally, and I think it's best if you're listening out there and if you try and buy the CD, because then Casey actually gets the money. And
they get it. They can get it on iTunes as well, and Apple Music, and Amazon Music, and Google Play, and that all supports the artist and the creatives as well. So if and obviously it is Spotify streaming and stuff like that, but there's been a lot of toxic reports and stuff in the news and the media about Spotify and artists not really getting their share, which is true. And so I suppose that the way, if you want, and I've learned since doing this that I want to support artists that I love as well by going down that paying for music route. And the other way to get it is if you'd like a hard copy CD, JB Hi-Fi or Sanity, they have copies as well. So it's and if anyone follows me on Casey A. Burgess, I'm always posting links and slide ups, and on my Facebook page as well, Casey A. Burgess, putting links to where to get it and when there's new stuff coming through. So I'm all over when there's new stuff coming through. So if people do want a hard copy CD, just send me a message as well, and I can send them on the right way. But all the normal places like iTunes, like I said before, Google, Amazon, and Apple Music, it's all available.
Cool. Do you have like a link tree?
On my in my bio.
In your bio, okay. So what I'll do, all the links that you've just mentioned now, I'll link them. I'll put them in the show notes of this episode. So,
beautiful. That'd be great.
Yep, and also on the blog post on my website, which for this.
Thank you.
Episode. Yeah, sweet as.
No, I'm very excited for people to connect, and I'd love to hear what your favourite song is and why it connects with you. I think that's I'm loving hearing people's personal stories, and some people listened to that song Lemon Tree and went, oh gosh, I actually didn't think about that. I thought it was about you and your boyfriend or something. So it's nice to actually hear a backstory of the song, and then but I also like to hear what you took from the song. So I can't wait to hear what everybody thinks. So I'm so grateful for you having me on your podcast, and we've been talking about this for a long time, but we have a lot more to talk about today, right?
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, definitely. It's been awesome.
It's been unreal.
I really appreciate you coming on, Casey. And it's been I think we tried to do this about 18 months ago.
Well, here we are, bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, like I always say, these things take time,
Don't they? I wouldn't have been ready then.
Yeah, no.
Is Casey ever ready?
Good on you, Casey. It's great to talk to you, mate.
Thank you so much. See ya.
All right,
Bye.
mate. See ya. Bye.